Hey Devin, so Megan and I are going to try and do a quickish explanation of how you play King of the Table. The game is played for points. Any kings that you capture out of your opponent's deck are worth 1 point. Aces are worth 2 points. Jokers are worth 3 points. And then any 5 cards you have at the end of the game that you have not captured out of your opponent's deck, but that you wield at the end of the game, every set of 5 is worth 1 point. If there are any overages, like if you have 2 or 3 sets of 5 and then you have another set of 3, the remaining number is discarded. It's only sets of 5 that matter. Okay, so that's how the point system works. Now Megan and I are going to do some sort of mock battles to show how the battles work and how you can challenge with King of the Table, how it works when there's a girl versus a guy, etc. So, first battle. Let's just say this is our first battle. Tim Bresnan versus Derek Smith. Let's move these up a little bit. So they had any match up that took place within the last 4 or 5 years. The winner of that match automatically wins the battle. So Derek has beaten Tim Bresnan in an actual match. Let's say it's 2 guys, like let's say it was Derek versus Chance Shaw, and you can reasonably argue that it's a close match and you're not sure who would win. In that case, it's good to have a third person to act as a jury. You can do like King of the Table, where the third person that's a jury takes the place of the loser of the game, and the loser of the game becomes the jury, and it kind of goes back and forth like that. Am I missing anything here, honey? Okay, good. Okay, so, but in this case, it's very simple. He's beaten him. He's the winner. If there's a common opponent, like in the last 5 years, let's say he's beaten somebody who's beaten this guy, well then you can make the case also that that's it. But if it's a tie, you just play the next card in your hand. So that's how most basic matchups work. So let's do one more here. No, it's okay. Not for this. Okay, so hang on a second, honey. So if it's a guy versus a girl, the girl automatically gets an extra card. If this happened to be another girl, then that's it. You only get 1 extra card. So Matt Mask would have to beat Ekaterina and Evgeny in a row. We already know that Matt has lost to Evgeny in a recent match, so she would win those cards and they would go back into her clubhouse. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, so this is interesting because even injured or not at his best right now, I think most people agree that Dave Chaffee would be the favorite in this match, although Marcio would put some bullets in him along the way. And so most people would say, okay, Dave Chaffee wins. But in this case, it's a face card, it's worth 1 point. So if I capture Dave Chaffee out of her deck, that's 1 point in my on my score. So I would challenge King of the Table, and I hope I have 2 more cards in my deck so that I can steal this one from her. So Cobra Rhodes, I think Dave Chaffee would beat those 2 guys in a row. Oh, I'm sorry. I have to say whether I want to challenge with 1 or 2 cards behind Marcio. The reason is it's a little bit of a risk because if let's just say I dealt Cobra Rhodes and then John Dabo or something. Well, Dave would probably run through those next 2 guys even if Marcio wore him out a bit. So not only would she win all the cards in this deck in the battle, but she would also win the next 2 cards in my deck because I challenged with 2 cards, and those could be face cards that she should capture worth immediate worth points that go to her score. That's not good for me, so I'm going to take a risk though and say before I start dealing, I challenge 2 cards. My next card is Vitaly. Well, Vitaly's beaten him recently, and he would really win after these 2 wore him out a little bit. So then I capture this card. These go back into my discard pile. This one goes up top in my captured pile. Anytime you capture a face card, an ace, or a joker out of your opponent's deck, they are removed from the game and go on your scoreboard. Let's do another battle. Okay, so this is interesting. So I have a joker versus Jujimufu. I have Devin versus Jujimufu. Devin obviously wins that fight. But I have an option here. Before she can call king of the table and try and steal my joker worth 3 points, I can say, and she can't just go king of the table, like I have this option that's right to me. I can say, I don't think this card is worth my time, and I can discard and say, I want the next card in your deck instead and hope for a face card. Ooh, I got Levon. Okay. So Devin versus Levon, based on their last match, Levon would win and you'd steal the joker. But now I can call king of the table, and another power the joker has is that instead of having 2 people, I can actually have 3 people behind me to battle Levon. And only the jokers can do that. Everyone else can do up to 2 people. There's a risk because if I lose, and Levon could potentially run through any other people behind Devin, if I lose that match, then I have to give up those 3 cards I challenge with and the next 3 cards on my deck. So it would be pretty devastating. But in this case, let's say I challenge, and I'm going to use, I'm going to call king of the table, and I'm going to use 3 cards. So, okay. That one's not going to help me too much, but another good note here. So previously I showed if it was a guy versus a girl, she gets an extra card. That's only if she's the one that opens the battle. If it's to break a tie or kiss king of the table, you just get the card. So that's 1. That's 2. Wagner Borrelato also going to probably put a couple of bullets in Levon, but he would still probably run through these 3. And then, okay, Hermes Gasparini, so that's good. So I think, and these are all best of 5 matches. You have to imagine it's a best of 5 match. Best of 5 with Devin, best of 5 with, with Arena, best of 5 with Wagner, then best of 5. Hermes gets him after these people have had a stab at him. And it would be up to the jury to decide, but I think most people would agree based on Hermes' last match that he would beat a tired Levon, and he would be pretty tired after all this. And so I would win Levon out of her deck, and he would go up here into my point pile. So that's sort of a quick rundown of how the battles are. Now we're going to play a quick game.